Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Madals and today I've got game 1 of a best of 3. It's a bit of Protoss on Protoss action and it's from DreamHack Valencia. Of course I was casting that as one of the community streams, but since all the replays are now out, I thought, you know what, any of these games from these amazing players that haven't been cast, I'm going to try and get up, because there is just so much talent in DreamHack Valencia, or there was, that it would just be a shame to miss some of the awesome games that no doubt did occur, but were never seen. Apart from, of course, by the players themselves. Now, spawning on Akelon Waste, up in the top left-hand position, from CM Storm, we have PandaTank. And his opponent spawning in the bottom right, from Team Evil Geniuses, the blue Protoss player, JYP. So, PvP. It's a bit like a knife fight, to be honest. They're constantly going at each other, both people are pretty evenly matched, generally speaking, and what you end up with is just whoever tends to get the first decent blow usually wins that fight. PvP is much the same, although there are things that can go a bit awry. If, say for example, you get a build order loss or your opponent just does something that you can't counter, you manage to sneak out a cheeky little expansion. Can always be good, but for the moment, JYP, he's just busy down here getting a gateway. Meanwhile, so is PandaTank, and PandaTank, of course, I know has a bit of a cult following. He has some very hardcore fans, being one of the only South African pro gamers. It's pretty awesome, and he's a really awesome guy, and he does put up an amazing show. So, not quite sure which way this game is going to go, because I don't, well, all I know is who advanced through the tournament, because obviously I was having to do that, but I don't know the results of individual matches of the group stages, because there was a huge number of groups, and just so many games that frankly, I can't remember what happened that long ago. Now, anyway, gases are coming down. Both players going up to the double gas. Slightly earlier first gas though for PandaTank, but only mining with 2 probes in there. 2 probes now in the second one. That's putting him a small way ahead. It's actually putting about 24 gas ahead of his opponent, as really that now levels out. But the interesting thing is it's 2 and 3 now on both sides, so they're both gassing up very quickly. This could be for Stargates, could be for Dark Shrines, could be for Blink, could be for Robos. Basically, it's likely to be something quite tech orientated, as opposed to focusing on getting more units out, and that's because of the 3-3 probes, although only the third one being added in there now for JYP. So that means PandaTank is getting a nice little way ahead in terms of that gas income. He does have the Zealot coming out. He's going to come and check around in his main base, because of course this was the DreamHack where bases in bases were quite popular. So yeah, they're still looking fairly normal, fairly standard for the time being. We do have JYP actually though moving out with one lone little probe here. He's going to do some scouting, whereas PandaTank, he's not up for any of that. He's just, you know what, I don't need to scout, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. PandaTank getting close up to that 150 gas after starting the Mothership core. And notice the second Stalker is coming out, but that is all. Over on JYP's side, it's going to be the Twilight Council. This could still be Blink, it could still be Dark Templar. Same thing from PandaTank though. Every part of me is hoping this is going to be DTs on DTs, because there is nothing more amusing to see than that. However, the logical part of me does say probably Blink is a good bet, and that's because of this cliff area. You can really exploit that. There's a huge amount of area that you can blink up, kite, blink down, or vice versa if you've got the Mothership core granting you vision. But for the moment, no indicator of what these two are going to be doing. The Twilight Councils are finishing up though, so this is where we need to keep an eye out for whether it's going to be Blink or whether it's going to be Dark Shrine. And from JYP, Dark Shrine coming down. That means now that if PandaTank went for Blink, that'd be good, but no, it's going to be a Dark Shrine. Oh, they're DTing each other. This is always good to see, because neither player probably going to get a Robo. It'd be a very peculiar thing to do. If either player scouts this though, and PandaTank does have his Mothership core heading the right direction, if he sees this Dark Shrine, he's in an amazing spot, because he can just start up that robotic facility and get detection and be like, hup-de-dup-de-dup. I can see your DTs, you can't see mine, and here we go, PandaTank, he is coming in, he sees it, broad as day. There we go, PandaTank is like, yo, is that a DT you're making? And yeah, it is a Dark Shrine on its way down. JYP, meanwhile, throwing down that pylon. Instant robotics facility started up here from PandaTank. Such a nice scouting time. Will mass recall back home with that Mothership core, even though it is very low on health. Still probably worthwhile doing just to keep those resources. Now, JYP is starting up his robotics facility. These two are copying each other just a little bit. Very close game for the time being. We do see the Stalker has managed to find this pylon of JYP. The Dark Shrine is still 8 seconds away from completion. Can the pylon get taken down in time? 2 Stalkers are going to be going at it, but I don't think it will. No, there's the Dark Shrine finish. The DTs can warp in imminently, and here we go. This is now immediately where we need to see basically PandaTank pull back and try and play things very, very safe. Meanwhile, the pylon over here for PandaTank is going to get taken down before a DT morphs in. That's a bit problematic for him because he can't counter push. There's some great force fields on their way. PandaTank, unfortunately, has a couple of Stalkers just out all on their lonesome. Another force field is available, but it does go down in time. A DT sneaks up into the main. This could be problematic. Chrono boosting out that Observer as fast as possible will now come out. The DT is going to start getting hit. Will be able to rack up a couple of kills, though. Maybe even 2 or 3 before it gets taken out. Trying to just hide away as best as it can. The Observer's still just sitting there, but now the Sentry's coming in, that gets taken out. One more DT is still sitting there. No counter DT play yet though from PandaTank, so that still means that 1 worker, 2 workers have actually been killed on both sides, including scouting workers. So that's pretty cool. Immortals are coming down, and yeah, that's for JYP. Meanwhile, PandaTank opting to expand. So not following the Wings of Liberty mantra of if he who expands first dies first. Instead, just going to be opting to try and get out a couple more units and try and get his economy up. But same thing that JYP is doing, except the Immortal for him is slightly earlier. So no huge differences occurring for the moment. These two just, to be honest, playing a pretty standard game. Nothing too scary. JYP does still have this 1 DT wandering about though, and that's always going to be a concerning thing for PandaTank, because that means he's got to take an Observer with his army at all times. Actually, both players do, because obviously we do know the Dark Shrine is down here for PandaTank as well. If you don't take an Observer with your army, or leave some defense back at home with an Observer there, you are going to be punished with DTs by your opponent 9 times out of 10. Especially if the army's on its own as well. Just 4 DTs warped in instead of, say, Zealots or Stalkers. If there's no detection, that's a huge amount of damage output, which can be really difficult to deal with. But we do see here PandaTank getting down that Warp Prism. Meanwhile, the Robotic Spade is on its way here for JYP. So, very different strategies. One going up into Colossi, one going for this more drop-heavy play. A single DT is wandering around. Going to try and clean out this watchtower as soon as possible. If this DT spots this Warp Prism, it is going to be a hero. Can he do it? Come on, DT. Are you going to spot it coming? Where is the Warp Prism rally to? It's straight through the path of the DT. The DT is going to see all. Such a good little scout there. And as long as JYP was paying attention, he can pull some units up and defend it. But I don't know if he actually was looking at that DT there, which is now retaking that watchtower, keeping some of the vision. The Warp Prism is on its way forward. Going to warp in some Zealots, potentially some DTs as well. Maybe 2-2. So as in like 2 DTs, 2 Zealots. That's usually quite a common way to do it. But PandaTank opting to send 1 into the front and 1 into the main. Now, is there an Observer here? That is the big question. The answer is no, there is not. The only Observer out of the natural realm, so we'll be able to see the DT coming in. JYP's DT is now coming in here to attack. We've got a Hallucinated Phoenix who's trying to get some scouting information. The Dark Templar deposited into the main and is going to start trying to pick things away now. Of course, the DT, one of the DTs there, sorry, should I say, for PandaTank, is now in the main base, just slowly working away, racking up a couple of kills. Nothing too traumatic yet, but wasting a good amount of mining time. Ooh, now getting a good number of probe kills. Very frustrating. A Colossus is coming out. Meanwhile, the DT in the natural base has died. But still, this DT in the main doing more than enough, pulling away, going to hide in the corner and get picked up by this Warp Prism to hightail it out of there. Very smart move, but simultaneously the double Immortal drop coming in the top of the map here for JYP. He's going to try and do some critical counter damage to PandaTank, who's at the moment 2 workers ahead, but critically also has that +1 upgrade. So the cannon is going to start chipping away. He's not going to be able to do much against 2 Immortals though, and of course with even Photon Overcharge triggered on the Nexus, this Warp Prism is still able to comfortably escape with its life. A DT, is that a DT I hear slashing away somewhere? Yes, it is. Ooh, that is frustrating because guess what? The Observer for PandaTank is slowly having to creep his way back. The Immortal drop once again coming down. Going to try and pick off some pylons. Is going to be able to hit one of those pylons down, but does not supply block PandaTank at the moment. Now, JYP does have his first Colossus out. That is quite a bit quicker than the first Colossus, only just starting now for PandaTank. Something that really PandaTank does need to be careful of. He needs to make sure that they're both teching up, but for the moment being quite passive aside from a little bit of dropping, and that's as a direct result of the fact that the Dark Shrine opening is really quite an investment, and neither of the players managed to do too much damage with it. So just wanting to macro up and try and keep things safe. Now, an additional cannon coming back down in this mineral line here. The first Colossus nearly out. Extended Thermal Lance also getting started up here for JYP. Hasn't been started for PandaTank, but remember, PandaTank has that +1 already finished. That's only just now starting for JYP. That could be really beneficial coming into the mid and late games. Obviously, the longer that upgrade advantage is there, the more it starts to pay for itself. This double Immortal drop, though, is doing such a good little bit of work. Just picking away at things, being frustrating, and most importantly, keeping PandaTank back at home trying to defend. Needs to be careful though, one of those Immortals gets very low on health. The Warp Prism is going to be able to escape again, forcing another Photon Overcharge on that Nexus. All the while, a DT up in the main base, picking away, dealing a little bit more damage. Does get a probe, may get a second one too. So this Dark Templar actually has 10 kills on it already. Meanwhile, the Dark Templar for Mr. PandaTank, well, he doesn't have one down on the field at the moment, so he's not doing any counter aggression. Take a stock of what damage has been done, 15 to 10 workers killed, and that's actually in PandaTank's favour. Having said that, he's only 2 workers ahead at the moment, not a big lead, especially when JYP is just happily making 2 probes at a time, kind of boosting them out, and both players are on 2 bases. Very minor differences. Now, this Warp Prism once more is going to try and sneak his way up into the main base, but with all of these Stalkers here, with all the Zealots and everything, it would, even if it got there, if the Immortals were dropped out, it would get taken down pretty quick. But PandaTank, not expecting it to come back, pulling that Observer out the way, isn't going to see it come back down again. And oh no, the Robotics Bay is slightly exposed, and those Immortals could have taken that down pretty quickly. Trying to pick off a couple of these probes, are going to be able to be successful in doing so. May even get the cannon as well, but pulling back now, the Immortals and army for PandaTank on its way to try and defend. The Warp Prism getting focused, but there is the cannon taken out once more. And as we can see from resources, oh no, the Warp Prism does get sniped down. That is a big loss, because of course without that Warp Prism there, suddenly both Immortals die too. Big losses there, and I was going to make a point that JYP was being quite cost effective until that moment, which actually has given 100 resources more loss to JYP compared to PandaTank. JYP though does have his Templar Archives down. Currently, there is no Templar Archives here for PandaTank, but PandaTank moving across the map. In terms of supply, he's up slightly by 9, so he can start pushing in, but then he's a long way ahead in terms of the worker count. That means actually standing army. He's not that... so JYP's ahead, so actually in standing army, PandaTank, he's got a fairly good lead, and this is something that JYP needs to be cautious of. The Colossus count is 3 to 2, but there's 3 Immortals on the field for PandaTank that aren't there for JYP. JYP's going to have a nice hold. He's going to probably morph in quite a lot of Archons here, and that is exactly what we see coming down. 3 Archons there, a bit of an emergency measure to make sure that he can hold this aggression while trying to take a third, but so is PandaTank. Now, if PandaTank sees this third base coming out, I think he could force a cancel pretty much uncontested from JYP, so this could be a very nice little angle of attack coming in for the CM Storm player. But is the evil genius JYP going to be able to hold it off? It looks like PandaTank not even going to commit to it. We do have the Observer following this Warp Prism just to get a good look at what it's doing, but both these two being fairly passive for the time being, not really taking too many risks, doing anything too crazy. Both have lost under 3,000 resources this game, so that's actually quite a lot, and we're 17 minutes into the game, so we'd expect to see a bit more generally speaking. But here comes down the Templar Archives for Mr. PandaTank, and of course JYP, he's still got his done, doesn't have Storm Research or anything like that. He's doing it just to get some Archons out, and really just try and beef up his army to take a little bit more damage. But yeah, very passive game at the moment, not too much happening on either side after those initial DT and drop play, but this is allowing them to macro up pretty damn steady. The big difference is though, the JYP is 9 workers up. How does that relate? Well, he's mining about 150% of the minerals of that of PandaTank while still getting a nice gas income. He's also got his 5th and 6th gas up at the same time as PandaTank, so he's keeping up in that front too. Both players are trying to get down those more Colossi. Both players have extended thermal runs. Both players have +2. PandaTank is about to get +3 though, kicking in. That's quite a bit sooner actually. It's roughly about, well, just under 3 minutes sooner than that of JYP's. So that's obviously going to be beneficial just in helping any engagements that come down. But as the Colossi count gets higher and higher, everything comes down to attack angles. JYP as well, slightly ahead in terms of the army supply now too, but it is very equal, and both players are moving out towards the center of the map. This could be a big engagement about to come down. Are we going to be able to see a good angle for PandaTank, or will JYP be able to hold this off? Oh, one lucky Stalker there, seeing the thermal lances and deciding, you know what, I don't want to go for this. The second Stalker, not quite as lucky though, and both players trying to get that ever important attack angle, the better concave, the maximum number of units engaging at a time. Double time warps coming down, both players wanting to try and prevent the other from starting the engagement, both posturing to get a good position. Who is going to be able to come up on top here? There goes down the time warp for JYP. He's going to try and catch a couple of these units, mainly gets the Archon and of course a Zeta, but this is triggering the engage from PandaTank, who's having to run straight through those time warps. Very tough on both sides. The Colossi at the back for JYP, doing a lovely job, slowly picking apart this army. The Archons for JYP too, tanking up a load. PandaTank looking to be in a lot of trouble, and these Colossi are going to fall with only 2 remaining up against the 5 now of JYP. Things not looking good for the CM Storm player as he slowly retreats back, but GG's out knowing he can't hold it. So that was game 1, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoyed, make sure you like the video, leave a cool comment, and of course subscribe, and then flick over to my channel, and I'll see you at game number 2 in just a second.